Welcome back to Tales for Tired Eyes, where even the quietest shadows have stories to tell. Tonight, we drift to the edge of a forgotten village, a place where ivy curls like fingers over old stone, and the wind speaks through broken shutters. Here stands a house, empty by day, but never silent by night. Some say it whispers, others say it remembers. So pull your blanket close, let your heart beat slow, and if something taps at the wall while you listen, it's only the wind. And if this story speaks to the sleeper in you, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and gently ring the bell so you'll never miss what waits in the dark. Now, breathe in and listen. The road ends long before the house begins. You step from cracked stone onto soil softened by moss and time. The path is barely there now, more suggestion than direction. A ribbon of damp earth weaving between the trees. Overhead, branches knit themselves into a loose canopy, muting the moonlight to a dull, silver glow. There is no sound but your breath, the faint crunch of leaves beneath your boots, and the occasional creak of a tree swaying in a wind you cannot feel. The air here is different, heavy but not cold, scented with something like forgotten flowers and old paper, something sweet that lingers just long enough to feel familiar before drifting away. You continue, slowly, carefully. The deeper you walk, the more the world narrows. Brambles thicken along the sides of the path, curling like grasping hands. Vines cling to low stone walls with no apparent purpose, half sunk into the ground like the bones of old boundaries. Something about this place feels paused. You pass an iron gate, hanging open on one hinge. It lets out the softest squeal as you touch it, though you didn't push it wide, just brushed it with your sleeve. Beyond it lies the garden, what remains of it. The house looms in the near distance, mostly hidden by trees, but here, before it, sprawls what might once have been a beautiful hedge maze, or perhaps a flower bed outlined in smooth black stone. Whatever shape it had once held is long lost, overtaken by ivy and root and rot. You walk slower now, as though the soil beneath your feet might remember something you've forgotten. To your right, a cracked bird bath filled with rainwater. In its reflection, the sky stares back at you, pale, overcast, and too still. You don't look too long. To your left, a stone bench, broken in half, something etched into it, initials maybe, or symbols long eroded by years of wind and whisper. You run your fingers over them and feel warmth, not heat, memory. A breeze curls around your ankle, not cold, just enough to stir your coat. You look behind you. No one. Only the path narrowing, vanishing into the woods. Ahead, the house reveals itself a little more. 3 stories tall, shuttered windows on the upper floors. The front door, heavy and dark, barely visible beneath a sagging porch roof. Ivy covers most of the facade, some of it living, and some of it long since turned brittle and brown. The moon emerges briefly from behind a cloud, and the light touches the windows. Some reflect the garden, and some reflect nothing at all, and one, the highest at the gable's peak, seems to reflect the inside. A flicker, a pale movement, gone as soon as you notice it. You blink. You wait. But nothing changes. The whispering doesn't begin with words. It begins with breath. Soft. Rhythmic. Like the sound of someone sleeping in the next room, just at the edge of hearing. You aren't in the house yet, but it knows you're here. The porch groans beneath your weight. Each step draws a long, tired sigh from the wood, as though the house is exhaling after years of holding its breath. Ivy brushes your arm. You move it aside gently, fingers brushing crumbling leaves that turn to dust. The door waits, wide, dark, and weathered. You reach for the iron handle. It's colder than it should be, not just from the night, but as if it has not been touched in years. A brief moment of resistance, and then it gives. The door swings open slowly, revealing nothing but darkness. You pause at the threshold. The air changes. Not musty, as you expected, but still. So still you can hear your pulse in your ears, as if the space inside holds no time at all. A quiet so absolute, it feels like stepping into someone else's held breath. You cross. The door eases closed behind you without a sound. Inside, it is not entirely dark. The moonlight filters through a stained glass window above the stairwell, casting fractured blues and reds onto the floorboards. Dust dances in its path, slow and deliberate, like ash in water. You take a few steps forward. The floor beneath your boots groans softly, but it holds. You run your hand along the banister. It's smooth, polished by hands long gone. And then you hear it again. The whisper. Closer now. Still not words, just the shape of them, as though someone were forming a thought in the next room, but never quite speaking it aloud. You turn your head. The house is not grand, not anymore. Its hall is narrow, papered with peeling floral designs. At the far end, a doorway hangs open, revealing a sitting room. There's a fireplace, a chair, something draped in cloth. You approach. With every step, the air thickens, not unpleasant, but expectant, as though something unseen is watching, not malicious, just aware. In the fireplace, cold ashes. On the mantel, a cracked photograph frame, its image long faded, but you think you can make out two figures. One seated, one standing, both turned just slightly away from the camera, as if caught mid-thought. The whispering pauses. You feel it. Stillness. Like the house is listening to you now. You move toward the chair. Its cloth covering has gathered years of dust, yet behind it, the outline remains sharp, as if someone only just stood up and left the room. You sit, and the room exhales. You hear it clearly now, the whispering. It circles the edges of the room, not coming from any single place, but many. Floorboards, rafters, the cracks in the wall, like the house itself is remembering how to speak. You close your eyes and listen, and then something changes. A soft creak from the hallway, not behind you, but above. Your eyes flick towards the staircase, still dim, still dappled in stained glass light. A shadow shifts on the landing. A trick of the eye, perhaps. Perhaps not. The whispering deepens, layered now. Still not words, but tone. Sorrow, maybe. Curiosity. A kind of hush you've only heard in places where grief lingers long after tears are spent. You rise from the chair. The whispering fades, but the hush remains. You cross the room and open a door you hadn't noticed before, just a sliver of wood tucked behind a long forgotten bookshelf. It leads to a narrow hallway, lit only by the fractured light behind you. There are portraits here, crooked, their subjects blurred by age and dust. You lift a hand to wipe the glass of one, and stop. The face is familiar. Not recognisably so, but something in the eyes, the tilt of the head, as if the house is trying to remind you of something. You step back and realise the whispering has returned. Closer now, somewhere just ahead. The air thickens, and the floor waits. You take one careful step, and then another. The narrow hallway behind the bookshelf leads to the base of the stairs, the kind that curves softly to the right as they rise, hidden in half shadow. You reach for the banister. The wood is smooth, untouched by dust, as though someone had used it recently. Your fingers tighten. The whispering moves. It doesn't come from below anymore. It comes from above. The tone is softer now, sadder, a gentle breath that hums like the hush of an old lullaby sung by someone who forgot the words halfway through. You ascend. The stairs creak, but not with protest. It feels instead like each groan is a memory, each step a name the house is too tired to say aloud. Halfway up, you pause. The stained glass light no longer reaches you, only moonlight now, through tall, thin windows warped by time. A chill wraps around your ankles, not sharp, not cruel, more like the brush of a hand, asking you to turn back, but you don't. At the top of the stairs, the hallway opens to the left. A corridor of closed doors, each identical, each waiting. The first door on the right is slightly ajar, so you push it gently. It opens onto a bedroom, small, spare. Moonlight spills across a writing desk and a bed covered in heavy wool blanket. Everything is neat, undisturbed, except for a journal laying open on the floor. You crouch, lift it. The ink is faded, but still legible. The handwriting small and precise. Still can't sleep. The whispers have returned. They say her name now, over and over. I know it's not the wind. You run your finger under the final line. It trails off, mid-sentence. You place the journal back, fold the cover closed. Inhale, hold, and exhale. The whispering begins again. This time it comes from behind you. Another door. You rise and step into the hallway again. The second door opens before you touch it. Inside is a child's room, a rocking horse near the window, a faded mobile above a narrow bed. The wallpaper is patterned with stars, most of them peeling away. You step inside. The air here is different, still but warm, like the room remembers laughter. And then the rocking horse moves. Only once, but you turn. The whispering now comes from inside the walls. Not threatening, just waiting. You cross to the bookshelf against the far wall. Its shelves are filled with children's books, some neatly arranged, others stacked sideways in haphazard piles. A single doll lies on its side. Its button eyes are missing, its dress faded to grey. You pick it up, and it's heavier than you expected. Inside the seam, you feel something. You pull at the stitching, and a slip of paper falls into your palm. A name, written in childlike scrawl. Elizabeth. You say it aloud, and the whispering stops. Only silence now, but it's not empty. It's full, expectant. You set the doll down. You whisper the name once more, and the mobile sways above you, though no air stirs. You step into the hallway again. The third door is closed, and you do not open it. Instead, you follow the whisper. It leads you to the end of the hall, to a narrow attic stair. The stairs are steep, the angle sharp. Each step you climb feels older than the last, until the house above feels like memory itself. A memory not yours, but still known. Halfway up, something brushes past you. Feather light, a breath, a thought, a dream. You reach the attic door. It is shut, but not locked. And there, in the shadows above, something calls you without sound. A whisper that finally becomes a word. Remember. The attic door yields with a soft groan. Not loud, just enough to let the house know you're coming. The scent hits first. Dry wood, old linens, and something faintly sweet. Lavender, maybe, or dust-soaked perfume, the kind left sealed in a bottle for decades. You step inside. The room is tall and narrow, its ceiling angled steeply, following the slope of the roof. Thin beams run across the ceiling like ribs. Cobwebs hang undisturbed in corners. The air is close and quiet. And then you see them. Boxes, dozens of them, stacked neatly along the walls, each tied with ribbon or twine, some labelled in ink so faded you can barely read them, others unmarked, anonymous offerings to time. The whispering has softened now. It surrounds you, not in a circle, but in a spiral, coiling in on itself, drawing your attention toward the centre of the room, where a small trunk rests beneath a covered window. You approach. The floor creaks beneath you, but it doesn't complain. It merely sighs, like an old memory exhaled after being held for too long. The trunk is made of wood and iron, its corners wrapped in soft leather. On top sits a doll's teacup, porcelain, cracked and empty. You lift the lid. Inside, a child's dress, carefully folded, a lock of hair tied with ribbon, a drawing, stick figures beneath a triangle meant to be a roof. One figure is circled in red crayon, and then a music box. You lift it gently, wind the key, but the song is broken. A few notes, a pause, another note, and silence. And yet the whispering continues, in harmony now. You turn to look behind you. The attic is still, but one box, a small one bound in red string, has shifted. You kneel before it, undo the string. Inside, only a letter, folded once, addressed to whoever finds her. You unfold it slowly. The paper crackles. The ink is old, shaky. I buried the truth because I could not bear it. She was not taken. She was left. This house is her cradle, her grave, her memory. If you've heard the whispers, then she's not done yet. Your breath stills. Outside, the wind rises. The window behind the trunk thuds softly in its frame, and the music box chimes one final note. Elizabeth. The house breathes. The light in the attic changes, no longer moonlight, but something warmer, something gold, soft, like candlelight glimpsed through lace. You do not flee. You sit beside the trunk. You whisper the name again, and the whispering stops. For the first time, the house is silent. The silence in the attic settles like snow, soft, dense, and sacred. You remain there for a time, unmoving, listening to the hush that has taken the place of whispers. The house no longer calls, it rests, and in that stillness, something deep within you exhales. You rise. Your movements are slow, not from fear, but reverence, as though you've stepped out of someone else's dream and don't wish to wake them. You make your way down the attic stairs. The boards beneath your feet feel sturdier now, familiar, as though they've accepted your presence. The second floor greets you in a gentle silence. The hallway doors remain closed. The wallpaper no longer seems to peel, but drape, like old fabric softening with time. Back down the curved stairwell, back past the cracked photograph, the fireplace, the draped furniture. You glance toward the parlour, half expecting to see the chair still rocking. It is still. You reach the front door, rest your hand on the handle, but you pause and look back. The house doesn't speak, but you feel its gaze. Not oppressive, not haunting, just aware, as if it knows this moment is goodbye. You open the door, and the air outside is cool and crisp. Different. The ivy that clung so tightly to the porch now sways gently, parting just enough to let the moonlight spill across your feet. You step outside. Behind you, the door closes, not with a bang, not with a creak, but with a hush, like a page turned gently in an old book. You walk the garden path again, and this time it does not twist or tangle. The brambles seem thinner, and the air easier to breathe. At the edge of the overgrown path, you stop and turn. The house stands as it always has, but now it feels lighter, not empty, but eased. You whisper the name once more, Elizabeth. Not to summon, not to bind, but to remember. And as the wind carries your voice into the trees, the windows flicker faintly, as though someone behind the glass has heard and nodded. You walk on, back into the world, back into waking. But somewhere behind you, in a house on the edge of a forgotten village, the whispers have grown quiet, and rest, at last, has returned. Thank you for wandering the whispering halls. If this story settled the shadows in your chest, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and softly ring the bell, so you'll never miss the next tale in the dark. And until then, sleep well, my friend.